You're listening to the Small Business Talk podcast with Cathy Smith.
Small Business Talk is a podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want a better way to run their businesses without spending years doing it the hard way. Small Business Talk is hosted by Cathy Smith, who has run the same marketing agency for more than 17 years and helped hundreds of business owners achieve their marketing goals.
Welcome to Small Business Talk, episode 204. And this is a great episode because Wendy Corner, our guest today, was on episode 104 of Small Business Talk. So when we did the promo to do the 200th episode, which you no doubt have already listened to, if you haven't, go back and have a listen. That was an amazing episode. Wendy said, "Can I come back?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And we worked out it was episode 104. So we thought we would get on for 204. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really quite fun when we were looking back on it, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
You were my first ever podcast recording. So I was really excited to have you pop my cherry with you. So thank you very much. And I can't believe, it was February 21.
It was.
Yeah.
Indeed. And how the world has changed so much since. And apparently I have been quite a few podcast guests, first podcasts. They're very successful in their outside world, but they hadn't ventured onto podcasts. And quite a few of them have gone on to make their own podcast after coming on mine. So there you go, including yourself.
Exactly. Oh, that's fabulous news, isn't it? How you're making a difference in the lives of the people that you have had on your podcast. How special.
And also making the difference to our SBT community as well. So let's talk about how we're going to make a difference today. So our topic is, how are you being mad? Tell us more about that.
MAD as in making a difference. That acronym came about when I was shortlisted for a business award last year, the Raw Business Awards, which I believe are based in Brisbane. Anyway, I came up in the MAD category. And initially I thought, not sure about that. And then I realised it said making a difference. And I went, oh, yeah. I'll hold my hat onto that, hang my hat onto that one. Yes, I definitely do. And if you think about it, that's what entrepreneurs ideally do, because they've discovered something that's missing and they're filling a void to make a difference in the lives of their customers.
Well, let's hope that they are. So sometimes I think business owners think they are a little mad, but they're the other mad.
Oh, yes.
And other times they're definitely making a difference, which is nice. So
also, there are times when you can be mad in a different way as well. Frustrated with some things.
Indeed. So we can be mad for giving up our day job and then going to work for an awful boss ourselves that make us work way too many hours.
Yes.
But then we can also make that difference. So what sort of things do you think that business owners should be doing to check that they are making a difference?
Well, obviously, you've got your bottom line, which will help you give a dollar figure. But the question is, how are you making a difference to your ideal customer/client? And do you know who they are? Because if you do, you can then language what you're saying to them in your copy, in your marketing, in your, dare I say, podcast interviews. Anytime you get the opportunity, networking as well. If you know exactly who you're speaking to, you've got an idea of the language that they are using. And if you speak it to them, it's like somebody's opening up your head and having a rumble around inside it, because you know exactly what they're thinking. And then your customer's going to be sitting back going, aha, she gets me. Tell me more. And there you go. Simple as.
Exactly that. And one of my favourite sayings is, talking to everybody is talking to nobody, because you're not talking anybody's language. You're just basically talking gibberish.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing with that is, you may know what you're talking about, and particularly if there's a hint of jargon in there, then you might as well be talking to yourself, because you're not going to be reaching the people that you want to speak to. In case in point, if I may, I was speaking to a guy who is a business owner. Yes, he obviously is a business owner. He's a coach, and he wants to coach in the realm of neuroplasticity and high-end CEOs in that direction. And one thing he said to me is, I'm not going to dumb it down. I'm going to make sure that people come to know the importance of the neuroplasticity and all the jargon. Okay, yes. But if that's where you start and people don't speak that language, swipe, you've lost them. So you've got to start with where they're at, and then you can introduce them to the new vocabulary. So if you've got a widget or something special that you make, careful about how you describe it, because it may be completely outside the realm of the person that you want to ideally attract. How would they describe it?
Very true. And that's what we tend to do. We talk our own words, not our customers' words. And that can make such a difference. So quite often they come with what they think they need or they want. And then when you actually get to work with them, it's quite a different story about what it is that they actually are needing and will solve their problem. And sometimes they even don't know what their problem is to begin with. So if you can articulate that in a way that they can understand, as you say, you get me. I know that you're the person for me. I know you're the expert. I was just recently at a consultation with a gentleman, and he said, I picked you because you sounded like the expert. You actually knew what you were talking about, and you could answer my questions, and you even preempted some things that I wasn't thinking about. So getting inside your customer's head can make such a difference.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's because you know who they are. And I mean, I'm sure all your listeners are thinking about, okay, I know about my avatar and I know the demographics and how old they are and all that business. And there's also the behavioral side of it as well, the psychographics. Where do they hang out? What do they like to watch on TV? I mean, in the old days when we used to do adverts on the TV, you knew which slots were going to be taken up by which advertising companies because of the program that they were slotted into. And that's exactly the same today, only we have a different way of reaching an audience. So knowing who you're speaking to and where they hang out is so important. Do you know about answerthepublic.com?
Yes, I do.
Isn't it great? If your listeners don't, then yeah, go look. I think you've got 2, maybe 3 free searches a day, and you can start using Google SEO to your advantage, because you start to type in those keywords and up come all the questions that Google's been asked. And then those are ideal questions to put in your marketing, in your content.
Indeed. So what it is, it's a website where it's called answerthepublic.com, and you go there and you can put in, how do you find A, and then insert your keyword, and then it will give you all of those. Another trick to use is use that sentence that Answer the Public has given you, type it directly into Google, and Google will then also give you suggestions of what other people have been typing. And if you type slowly enough and you're actually watching, it'll start to self-populate. So you can see the other things that Google are suggesting you might be going to type. And they are a good idea and an indication of what people are searching for as well.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? Because that way you are, as I said, literally speaking the language back to your ideal client, because that's what they're asking.
Yes.
Yeah. So powerful, so powerful.
And it's very important to use their words, because like you said before, if you're talking about widgets and you're calling it a blue widget and it's in their terms a turquoise widget, then they're not going to come up on the same search. So just play around with those words and see what people are searching for, so that when you're putting them in the website, you will be coming up for those words.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking about who we're talking to. How else can we make a difference to our customers?
Well, the thing is, do they know about you? Because yes, you can talk the language, but unless you are getting yourself out in front of them, and this day and age, we've got so many different opportunities, so many different platforms we can go to. And again, that comes back to where your customer hangs out, where your client hangs out. Are they Facebook people? Are they TikTok people? Are they Instagram people? Where do they hang out? Again, I was reflecting back on speaking to somebody. I do a lot of networking internationally. And this lady was saying, oh, don't do Facebook. Don't do Facebook. It's a waste of time. It just takes up all your time and is a suck and a drain on your energy. And I went, okay, where does your ideal client hang out? On Facebook. Mm-hmm. So you not going onto Facebook because it's taking up your time means that you're not getting in front of the right people? Oh. I said, well, that's a kind of a disciplined thing for you, isn't it? To make sure that you're focused on using it for work and not getting, all these little lovely cat pictures. I don't know whether this lady was into cats or not, but you give that example and they go, and you get that sort of look of recognition of, well, yes, maybe it's a discipline thing after all, because I go down rabbit holes. But the point is, wherever your ideal client hangs out, that's where you need to be. Yes. Regardless of whether it's a platform that you enjoy or not. Back to the Whiffen principle, what's in it for me?
Absolutely. And the flip side of that is not going to somewhere where you like to go and that your customers aren't. The podcast listeners will know I've told this story before. I used to have a client who absolutely loved Instagram, spent a lot of time hanging out there and wanted to be on Instagram. Said, fine, no problems. Is that where your customers are? She said, oh, not sure. So we did some research and checked it out. Said, okay, where are your photos? Oh, no, I don't do photos. Okay, where are your video? Oh, no, not doing video. I don't want any videos of me. I said, okay, what is on Instagram that you're looking at? Photos and videos. So if your customers are not on Instagram and you don't want to do photos and you don't want to do video, it's going to be very difficult for you to be on Instagram. So you need to think about where the customers are, not necessarily where you want to play.
Yeah. And on that note about video and not wanting to be seen either in stills or in video, that's something that requires a little bit of, come on, I can do this. I can, really I can. Because the thing is that whatever your widget or service is about, people buy you. They buy the person behind the brand. It's the classic example of, if you think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs. God rest his soul. You think of Virgin, you think of Richard Branson. He's no longer involved with it. The point is, it's the ethos, it's the figurehead behind the brand that people relate to. So that's why it really is important, like it or not, that your face is on camera, that you are talking to people, and ideally getting yourself out on video as well. Now, there are lots and lots of editing opportunities. It doesn't have to be done in a oneer if you're going. But equally so, if you fluff it, it shows you're human.
Absolutely.
Why do we love blooper reels all the time? Because it shows that there's some humanity behind it. And I mean, there are times when I admit I've edited out some howlers, but I've kept them and I'm amassing a blooper reel. So that sort of come Christmas, they'll be, do you want to see some funny bits? And those will go out. And that's what people enjoy as well, because they can see a human.
Indeed. And a perfect example of that is multi-level marketing, because they are all selling the same product with the same marketing, with the same everything, same price point, the whole lot. And some people do exceptionally well at it. And others, they end up buying their own product just to get their monthly spend. So it is about the person behind it. It is about their skill level. And quite often it's about their confidence. Are you putting yourself out there confidently? If you say that you're a coach and you're standing back and you're being very quiet and won't talk to anybody, well, is that going to really attract outgoing people and people that want to know more about you? Probably not. So think about how you're portraying, but we do all want authenticity, and we definitely do want to know the person behind the brand.
Actually, even if you are an introverted coach and you're wanting to speak to introverts, you still got to let them know. So even if it's not a rah-rah thing, and that wouldn't do you, you wouldn't be doing you, that would be a lack of authenticity, and people would pick up on the fact that you are not comfortable with that. And that's fine. But still, even the introverted people need to know about you. So you can be on a quieter level and still be authentic and still get your message over there on video. It is possible, really. It is.
And it's practice.
Yeah.
It's absolutely practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's consistency. And I know, because I had a 4-year video phobia, and it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get over it. And previous episodes of SBT, I have explained all of that. So go back and listen to the back catalogue. But sometimes you just have to make that choice. You have to make that mindset shift and go, I'm going to do it. So if you had the cure for some horrible disease and you were keeping it to yourself and not letting everybody know, wouldn't that be something really bad? So yes, I'm not saying that whatever you do is equivalent to a cure, but you do great work. You do great stuff, and your people need to know it. So go and get mad. Make a difference. So, Wendy, what haven't we told the SBT audience that we should be?
Well, being yourself, being your unique self. And we've already covered the fact that, for instance, the MLMs are selling the same thing, but with a different slant on it. And very often, innovation feels great to you because you've worked out it's the best thing since sliced bread. There may be something similar already on the market. However, it's not your version. It's your special twist on it that's really important. And it's being able to articulate how your version is different to other people's. And that, again, goes back to knowing who your customer is, knowing who your client is, and being able to encourage them because you're speaking to their particular problem. So you're making a difference to that one person. And I'm sure your listeners are familiar with the fact that if you speak to one person, you speak to lots of people around them. But that clarity of speaking to the one person means that you are incredibly attractive because of the clarity. Because it really is important to you, sort of 6 inch, well, was it inch wide, mile deep? Or the equivalent in metric.
That's okay. Half our audience are in America, so they get exactly what we're talking about. So that's fine.
Narrow and deep, whatever.
Yeah. I always talk about a dartboard. If you are aiming for the bullseye, doesn't mean that you won't hit slightly further out. But if you're aiming for the edge of the dartboard, there's very little chance of you hitting in the middle. So if you get your message specific, you will definitely attract people further out. But if you're not specific, you won't attract anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've sat and listened to seminars and summits allegedly directed in my general direction, and I've been sitting there going,
Sleeping.
So what? What's this got to do with me? Particularly when people get into stories, and stories are really important when you're describing what you do, because if you can weave in the benefits and how this is going to make a difference to your client, your customer, And often the best way of doing that is by giving examples of existing customers / clients, people who've already gone through and experienced the way you make that difference. If you can show it in person form through a lovely story with a point to the end of it, because sometimes stories can get a little rabbit hole-ish and you're going, why do I need to know that the curtains were blue?
You don't.
Now, Dorothy's shoes being red, yes, fair enough, because we were following the red slippers. But the point is, if it makes sense and is important to the story, to the end point, then yes, give them that level of detail. Otherwise, that's more important to you and not your audience. And we're back to the WIFM again. Always what's in it for them.
Exactly. So if people like what you've been talking about, they like that the words have power, how can they find you, Wendy?
Well, I have a YouTube channel where you'll find all sorts of stuff on speaking, because as the quirky speaker coach, that's what I'm primarily involved in doing. So I'm taking speakers to bigger and bigger stages. Now, you may not consider yourself to be a speaker, yet if you're talking about your business, you jolly well are. You've got to work out where is the best platform for your message to go to. The way I describe it is you're the Uber driver. Where does your very important message need to go? Believe me, that may be beyond your experience at the moment in your networking. Think where that message needs to go, not about you and your nerves. So that's one thing. I've got a YouTube channel. There is a Linktree thing where I will give you to pop in the show notes, and you can find all sorts of things in there. So there's access to our free download for a speaker's toolkit, so you can access lots of different videos and written material about how to improve on your speaking skills. As I said, there's the YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I am on Insta. So lots of different ways of getting hold of me. But if that's something that you want to expand your speaking, get back to me. I look forward to speaking to you.
And how can we go about our 5 questions? Are you game?
Oh, yes.
Would be interesting to see if your answers have changed.
Won't it just?
What's the best advice given to you by a mentor?
Make a decision to do it and then jolly well do it.
Perfect. What is the biggest help you've had since you started your business?
I've had a coach who has varying degrees of boot size with which to kick me up the backside. And I have experienced anything from a size 5 to a size 9, and all of them have been the perfect time.
Very well done. What is your one non-negotiable?
I need to be in alignment with the people that I work with.
Perfect. What is your favourite business book and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. There have been so many I have read since I saw you last. I would say probably The One Thing is still high up in there.
Excellent. And what do you wish you had known when you started out?
That despite the fact that I had no experience and no role models, that it is possible to learn how to do business. It's a steep learning curve. However, you can do it. Get the right people around you, determine that you can do it, speak to yourself. Your internal words have as much power as the external ones. Tell yourself you can do it and crack on.
Fantastic. So thank you, Wendy, for being our 204th episode and our 104th episode.
Thank you so much, Cathy. I've really enjoyed it.
And SBT audience, remember, enjoy your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Small Business Talk podcast and head on over to smallbusinesstalk.com.au. Remember, to be great, you must start. Pick one tip from today's episode, take action and implement it. Let's meet again next week at the same time and place. Until then, take action. And SBT community, enjoy your journey.